So I'm just demonstrating to this House that there's nothing like the dockets were gathering dust in General Sibiya's office not being attended to. Let us be fair to the process. Looking at the unfair way in which this whole thing is being handled, one can actually come to a conclusion that there are those that are very close to the heart of the National Commissioner, and there are those that he wants to see out of the police. It's painful. And just to make sure that my name is so messed up, so much so that I'm worthless. No, I cannot be considered for anything anyway. Yeah. It's not fair. Councillor, I find this question to really be so unfair.
Fairness was the word that echoed through Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya's testimony. Was it a plea for justice and neutrality, or a way to sidestep claims of criminal interference? As the House pressed harder, the suspended police boss found himself defending not just his integrity, but his entire command legacy. Hello and welcome, I'm Zoleka Qodashe. Join me as we unpack the week that was before Parliament's Ad-Hoc Committee. It's been 3 months since Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shadrack Sibiya, was slapped with a stay-at-home order for his involvement in the attempted disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team. The group was established to hunt down those behind KwaZulu-Natal's wave of politically linked murders. But when word broke of its possible dissolution, alarm bells rang, and KZN's top cop, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, went public, accusing Cibia and Police Minister Senzo Mchunu of acting with suspicious motives. That outburst triggered Parliament's intervention and the start of a public unravelling of the police service's internal fractures. And as Mkhwanazi questioned Cibia's credentials and history, it forced members of Parliament to do the same, beginning with his time at the city of Johannesburg.
But you left the city of Joburg being accused of fraud and corruption. And this unit that you set up, it was there to combat fraud and corruption.
You are not correct. I resigned from the city of Joburg.
There was no case against you of corruption and fraud.
No. In the city of Joburg, it's a political space. It's all the political parties fighting each other in council.
Cibia left the metro under a cloud of suspicion after being accused of benefiting in unlawful gratuities to the tune of 3.5 million rand. This, something that the House took note of, as Cibia now faces allegations of corruption 8 years later. After his tenure at the city, Cibia was reinstated in the police service following an order of the Labour Appeal Court. Here, Cibia would be linked with questionable characters.
Do you know Kat Matlala?
I know Kat Matlala.
Okay. How do you know him? Have you got a relationship with him?
No. Before I came back to the police, I didn't know Kat. Mr. Matlala.
Matlala is currently facing serious charges in the Alexandra Magistrates Court after an alleged fatal hit on his former lover, Tebogo Tobejane. Cibia told the Ad Hoc Committee that at the time he was not aware who Matlala was, but did say Matlala was a well-known figure in the SAPS.
General, I want to refresh your memory on the cases of Mr. Kat Matlala. 2018, 11-note Porsche, attempted murder, withdrawn. 2016, Sandton, possession of a firearm without a license and impersonation of a police officer, withdrawn. Silverton, 2015, carjacking and possession of stolen goods, withdrawn. Alberton, house robbery, withdrawn. Burglary, residential premises, withdrawn. Possession of housebreaking equipment, withdrawn. Common assault, cash in transit heist, not guilty, acquitted. Brooklyn, theft out of a motor vehicle, withdrawn, and so the list goes on. There are many, many more. What I'm saying to you, General, it's physically impossible that he could have slipped the system. Someone helped him.
Matlala has been identified as one of the Big Five, a sophisticated crime cartel in the country with its base in Gauteng. But how plausible is it that the second-in-command in the police service did not know who Nhlanhla was? This is not the only issue that raised eyebrows for lawmakers. So too was his meeting with Nhlanhla, in which the controversial figure was disgruntled over a tender in relation to Medicare, a company which provides health risk management services and in which Nhlanhla is the sole director. The company, flagged by late whistleblower Babita Deokaran at Tembisa Hospital, was awarded a 360 million rand contract by police. It was this tender that Nhlanhla approached Cibia about in February of 2024.
You didn't refer, Mr. Nhlanhla, to a person responsible or a senior person in the supply chain department or the National Commissioner. Why didn't you do so?
Honorable Chair and members, when you are or you have been awarded a tender by the South African Police Service, which have gone past supply chain. Now, the next level to complain if there is an issue was the logical thing to go to the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service. This is what he did. He went to the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service, which in that case, I was acting in that capacity.
But what happened after that engagement?
What is this coincidence of him only coming to complain about his own tender when you are acting?
It's a question that one can ask, but unfortunately, if he came to me when I was acting, with the hope that I can sign and approve and give him permission, but because I didn't sign and give him permission, now I cannot explain why he came to me.
In December last year, Nhlanhla's property was raided as Gauteng police, with the assistance of 10 KZN officers, clamped down on alleged syndicates in the province. Shortly after, Nhlanhla is alleged to have received a text from Northwest businessman Brown Mkhwanazi. In it, Mkhwanazi is said to have alerted Nhlanhla of the disbandment of the political killings task team after incorrectly assuming that it had conducted the raid on Nhlanhla's premises. In it, Mkhwanazi is alleged to have told Nhlanhla that he would also facilitate a meeting with Cibia and the then police minister Mchunu. But how does Mkhwanazi know Cibia?
Counsel, I don't know this guy. I never contacted him before, and you do get it because at this level, you get calls from citizens of this country, and they will tell you that I'm so and so. I've been given your number by so and so and so and so. Sometimes another one will call and say, "How can I get this person?" And then they will phone around. Ultimately, they'll come across your number.
But the first time that Cibia alleges Mkhwanazi reached out to him was via a telephone call, in which the controversial figure warned one of the country's most senior police officials that crime intelligence was investigating him.
What did you do with that information?
It's information that says, watch over your back. And then what I did is, sometimes I approach the National Commissioner. Sometimes I did speak to General Kumar and say, I understand there is one of the senior managers who's going around here and saying, I'm going to arrest your boss.
For analysts, what is currently playing out is simply history repeating itself.
We have to go back into the history to the late Commissioner Jackie Selebi. He was found guilty in court for actually only one thing, and that was his corrupt relationship with certain underworld figures here in Johannesburg.
Right.
And that is the main lesson is a police officer, all police officers, whatever the rank, should never be friends with people who are questionable.
Right.
That can't be your friend.
It is these relationships that Cibia was allegedly attempting to protect when he, according to his superior, National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola, proceeded to implement the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team, despite instructions that he abandon the project. Masemola was briefed about the directive from Mchunu when he returned from leave on the 14th of January 2025 and received a plan from Cibia on that same day. Cibia allegedly called for the dismantling of the team in a similar fashion to that of the Scorpions. However, Masemola differed in opinion, and when Cibia failed to adapt his plan to this request on the 15th of January, Masemola said he would develop a plan himself, along with Head of Crime Intelligence Dumisani Khumalo. Masemola also says he wanted a phased-out approach. Despite this, Cibia issued an instruction that all 121 dockets of the PKTT should be relinquished.
And that, to me, was defiance, because the National Commissioner had actually in no uncertain terms told you to leave the matter in his hands.
Let's say for a moment, Chair, that was the case, of which it was not the case, but let's say for a moment, let us agree that was the case. The National Commissioner says, I came on the 15th and I found him sitting with General Sebola in his office. That is on the 15th. Now, General Sebola is part of the discussion and she can hear the discussion. How then does it happen that General Sebola, the same General Sebola was sitting with the National Commissioner, sent a document to me on the 16th, having heard what the National Commissioner said? On the 16th, she sent me a document and she go to my PA and say, I'm sending you a document, just print it and give it to the General for signature.
Cibia also alleges that Masemola was alerted to the looming disbandment in a meeting on the 27th of November. While that is what he told the committee under oath, it was not contained in his statement, raising questions for lawmakers.
It would seem to me that is a very crucial meeting.
Yes.
But why did you choose to exclude it from your sworn-in statement?
We didn't choose to exclude it because this is a statement that was contained in the minutes of the meeting that was discussed. And we requested with the legal team to have access. Even I think we requested through the evidence leader, if I'm sure that we be assisted with the minutes from the South African Police Service, and we were not favored with such minutes.
But Masemola testified differently. He told the committee that he did not receive reasons for the disbandment, nor was he afforded the opportunity to brief the minister on the work of the PKTT. This dispute of facts forced Chief Evidence Leader Norman Arendse to push Cibia. Arendse said there was no such meeting, leading to Cibia conceding that it may have been an oversight on his part. Another crucial question remains unanswered. Where did the dockets go when they were removed from KZN?
They were last seen since some of them 2018, 2019, 2020, 2023, 2024. So I'm just saying, for us to be sitting here today talking about the issue of the docket, it's a non-issue. Those dockets were dead long time ago. They are still dead.
But as the country's top cops point fingers at each other, what is the battle really about?
I had an interview where I was interviewed by one of the radio stations or TV stations and saying, General Cibia, now that the General Lebeya will be going, are you interested? Are you available? And I said, well, given that opportunity, I will go. And then from there, the media were running saying that General Cibia has thrown his head in the gauntlet as well, he's ready. And as a result of that, you will see newspaper article that says Cibia versus Musigiri versus Mkhwanazi. And then the next thing, what happened is that General Khumalo got arrested. That angered General Mkhwanazi to an extent that he sent a message to one of his friend's colleague that says, can I proceed there?
No.
He sent a message of a song of Tupac that says, I'll kill them at night when they're sleeping. Now, he was so furious. And then even General Masemola, to an extent that I began to hear that they feel that I have something to do with that arrest.
This has exposed the deep fractures within the country's security cluster.
The senior police officers and SAPS do not trust each other, that they are at opposite ends of the spectrum. I mean, if one follows this testimony and the intricacies of all of these messages and back and forth, and I didn't know that this was happening, or I knew this, or so-and-so contacted me, or Brown Mkhwanazi gave information. I mean, what that paints a picture of, it paints a picture of a totally factionalized SAPS, in which one section of SAPS is at war, or at least is in conflict with another, and in which senior police officers are trying to get one over on each other and not sharing information, whether that's operational information or otherwise. And this is what it tells us, that what we've got on our hands is as a result of 10 or 15 years of political manipulation of SAPS, of cater deployment, of not paying attention to who's right for what particular job, that we have as police services that is now not able to do its job because it's more concerned with what the other side of SAPS is doing and who's getting dirt on whom, as opposed to actually servicing the public.
As the smoke clears from Cibia's testimony, one thing is certain. The battle inside the country's top policing ranks is far from over. And as the Ad-Hoc Committee continues its work, it will be forced to separate fact from faction. As it looks into the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team, it will zoom into the legality and constitutionality of the decision. We'll unpack that and what Minister Senzo Mchunu had to say when we return. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us as we look into where the political influence has seeped into the operational heart of the police service. We begin by exploring Minister Senzo Mchunu's testimony and the tightrope he appeared to walk between oversight and overreach, and whether there were blurred lines between policy and policing.
From the 6th of July, I'm wearing General Mkhwanazi. From the 6th of July, I'm smelling General Mkhwanazi. And this is the first opportunity that I'm getting to explain myself. And I'm going to do justice to that.
A deeply tainted Senzo Mchunu is now fighting to wash off the stench of Mkhwanazi.
My name is Senzo Mchunu.
It's the first time the minister has had his say and recounted the events that led to his directive for the disbandment of the team meant to investigate politically motivated murders in KwaZulu-Natal. And he dug in his heels.
And I believe that the decision to disband the PKT, as I've said, was for lawful reasons. It was not for unlawful reasons. Not at all. Well, I know that when General Mkhwanazi made a statement, among other things, the accusation was that I disbanded this because I wanted to protect criminal syndicates. I want criminal syndicates. I want them.
Mchunu also testified that the funding provided to the PKTT had been irregular since former National Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's sacking in 2022. Mchunu also testified that a study in 2019 approved the team's disbandment. This a year after President Cyril Ramaphosa announced that he would establish an interministerial committee that would develop a strategy to tackle the political killings in the coastal province after the murder of Musa Wenkosi Mchunu.
What I then came to know later is that the intervention, the political intervention by the president, especially after one incident or at the time of one of the incidents in KZN, the president directed or commanded that there must be a mechanism to respond to the problem, and appointed interministerial task team.
According to Mchunu, because the birth of the PKTT was driven by policy, it stands to reason that the dismantling of the team is also the product of a policy decision. In light of this, Mchunu began drafting his letter years after the discovery of the reasons that motivated the disbandment. However, Mkhwanazi's testimony claimed that someone else was behind the letter sent to the office of the National Commissioner on the 31st of December 2024, when Masemola was on leave.
It's a decision I took, and I'm responsible for it, and I stand by it, that I will deal, of course, with the constitutionality and lawfulness thereof. But in terms of reaching that decision and writing it, if there's one person to talk about on it, it's me. So don't look any further for any reason, even if you somehow believe that I have no capacity to write that letter for some reason. I don't think that there is any engineering of anything in that.
But during this process, Mchunu says he did not have a meeting with the parties who are intricately involved in the work of the PKTT, Masemola Mkhwanazi, and Crime Intelligence Head and PKTT project leader Dumisani Khumalo. The minister wanted to be pointed to a provision that prescribes that he consult before making a decision of such a nature.
I didn't breach any law. I do want us to have an agreement or a consensus that I didn't convene a meeting with General Masemola, General Mkhwanazi, and General Khumalo. Doesn't constitute an offense in the department or anywhere or in the state. It doesn't.
However, South African law requires that organs of state consult when exercising their public power. Consultation is one of the hallmarks of fair, lawful, and rational processes. Section 206, subsection 1 of the Constitution also prescribes that the minister, as a cabinet member responsible for policing, must develop national policing policy after consulting with provincial governments. The Constitution also provides that the National Commissioner be responsible for controlling and managing the police service.
The roles and responsibilities of a police minister is that of an executive. It's police oversight and it's policy development. He could have rather even concentrated on issues that relate to policy reform within the SAPS.
Mkhwanazi and Masemola previously testified that Mchunu's decision encroached on the operational affairs of the SAPS, as some investigations would grind to a halt while some would be interrupted in the court process.
Giving such a directive in the SAPS is worrisome when you have an understanding of the complicities around investigations that the task team is busy with. You can't be saying disband immediately, and you disband, you give a directive when you know the SAPS head is on leave. That is also worrisome.
Despite this, Mchunu says his decision was lawful and briefed the president about the move after the decision was made.
Did the president agree to the disbandment of PKTT?
The answer in the affidavit is that I briefed the president. He agreed with the briefing I gave him.
Honorable Minister, is the answer yes?
Yes, as is in the affidavit.
The answer is yes. The answer which we must record is yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
But this is different to the testimony submitted by Masemola, who told the committee that the president was shocked at the move and believed the team had done good work in KZN. This, among other things, is what has led to suspicions over the author of the letter and the motives behind it. Not only that, but Mchunu's association with controversial Northwest businessman Brown Mokgotsi has also been a cause for concern. On the 5th of March this year, The minister appeared before Parliament's Police Portfolio Committee, where Mkhwanazi asked about his association with Mkhwanazi.
I think we must be very circumspect when people come to us and say, I'm an associate of this and that. I'm no associate to the person that General Mkhwanazi is referring to.
Mchunu believes Mkhwanazi's 6th of July briefing was triggered by his unwavering stance that the PKTT would be a thing of the past. So upset was Mkhwanazi that he allegedly threatened Mchunu in a recorded phone call with his chief of staff, Cedric Ngabinde.
More than anything, to withdraw a task team, a business investigation, and yet we have not received a presentation at the investigation officially. When I'm at least okay now, when I everything, I was saying to myself, if I have a lot of I zoom any problem for now. I gave disbanded team with a wins with head. Because we are now talking about operational things. And whether you can't say this doesn't work, this works. How would you get into the conclusion? In my appointment, if there's an intelligence that you have that says unali manipulation, unali things, then you can justify and say, okay, oh, before you continue that, I'll need brief food once again. There you here's about. But the low stop operation on its track, investigation on its track, we stop it. It's going to have some implications. So that was my concern. We check it and for tomorrow, would be at the legal trailer. Isn't being some officials because isn't some officials who use the problem. Some officials of the order. It's such a decision now, but a decision of my officials of say decision some way 30 apply this mind on it. The biggest thing that I've been talking about, abantu be-intelligence make batholakala benze into wrong. Akumelanga bathathwe departmentally. Kumele basuswe ku-crime intelligence bawubekwa somewhere else. Because they are used to all these dirty things that is going to create a problem for the organization.
The exact threat has not been placed before the committee, but is expected to be aired when Mchunu returns to the hot seat. And despite alleged threats and pushback, Mchunu is clear on one thing.
The decision was not for unlawful reasons. As a matter of fact, I have nothing to do with criminal syndicates myself. I've never had anything to do with them in my life, not once.
For now, Mchunu remains under the microscope as the nation awaits in great anticipation the completion of his evidence in chief and his answers to lawmakers on Tuesday. Importantly, South Africans wait for answers on how the country's fight against politically motivated killings became entangled in a web of internal battles and blurred authority. You'll want to stay tuned to Newzroom Africa on channel 405 as we bring you that and more when the Ad-Hoc Committee resumes on Tuesday. I'm Zoleka, Qodashe, and thanks for watching.